bit of Valentine, skimming up like Gucci. Don't mind when I drink. She feel my pain.
Well, I think we've come a long way since the time of Jeff Beck and Blow by Blow, and just how Jeff really revolutionized the way we use the tremolo today and the whammy bar, and then of course Eddie Van Halen. But I think for a lot of us blues players and a lot of us just rock players, we don't use the bar other than doing special types of effects like chorusing. We were playing that Hendrix song where you play a nice little E minor. Having something like the Super-Vee to be able to keep us in tune and still keep a vintage sound and a vintage feel really helps to bring out the tone of the guitar when you have just this beautiful chorusing that you can do. Again, we showed a little example of how you can play a chord like that and still have it perfectly intonated on the top. I think it's extremely important when you have a locking trem system that you have the versatility of being able to adjust the intonation and get that guitar to sound perfect everywhere on the neck. Another classic example where you see this being able to use the bar, especially if you really beat on the bar like, say, Stevie Ray did, and if you don't have really good control of actually trying to get your guitar back into tune, especially while you're playing live, I think this will do the trick. But one of his famous pieces that he does, Lenny, and just play a little portion of it. Just beautiful being able to just chorus through these chords. I
had one look, baby, I was so tired. I just had one step, honey, I was there.
Jake, I know your dad growing up kind of just told you regarding trems is just more or less put 5 strings on that tremolo, go ahead and lock that sucker down and just rock and roll, don't even bother using it. How different is your opinion of that now regarding this new technology that we have with the Super-Vee?
Well, first off, being a predominantly non-tremolo player and being around guitars a lot of my life, I'm playing a lot of the other tremolo systems and locking tremolos and floating trems and all that stuff. The big thing always for me was that was the drawback, was staying in tune, and that's the reason my dad always had the 5 springs on the back, because you don't have to worry about the trem going anywhere. And since coming across the Super-Vee, definitely opened me up a little bit more, and I'm always looking for a different way to pull off my licks, and for it to stay in tune. And if I can substitute, rather than doing instead of doing that, if I can just substitute it with a trem bend, it's just always trying to find different ways to say what you want to say on the guitar. It's definitely giving me another option as far as expressing it through another outlet.
Got this beast here that's fairly old, and I didn't want to go ahead and put anything on it that would really destroy the value or the tone of the guitar. And I think one of the things that I really like about the system is kind of this really neat locking trem on the top. Back in the 80s, when locking tremolos were becoming real popular, it was a real nightmare trying to get a decent job or somebody to go ahead and kind of put that locking trem on the top and going through the back of the neck. And now you don't have to do this because it's really elegant design where you can just go ahead and just put a little bit of pressure on each of these Allen bolts, and it locks it from the sides rather than from the top. But I've noticed, at least with this guitar, my tone and my sustain is a whole lot better. It's a lot brighter. My bottoms are just crisper. It doesn't take away from the bottom end. You can just really hear it more clearly, more defined. And again, it's allowed me to actually have this guitar intonated perfectly, where I've really had a problem with the old vintage system that I had. And that's one of the other aspects that I like of it as well, is that I don't have to dig into the body and route the whole thing to go ahead and put some posts in to have it lock and so forth. It's really elegant where I can just go ahead and keep the existing holes and then have it intonated, back and forth however I need. And there's a lot of range here. One of the aspects too is if I ever decide to sell this thing, then I can just go ahead and pop the nut off, and then take this existing piece off, and then put the original equipment on, and never alter the value of the guitar.
Just for a second, honey, I was in heaven. Just for a minute, I was totally committed.